Well, hello everybody. It is not quite 2 p.m. Eastern yet, but I have started the live just so that people can have a chance to jump on and get ready for this class in the Janome Sewing Machines classroom. So I won't start until exactly 2 p.m. But just so that you know, in the meanwhile, my name is Liz Thompson, and what you see in front of the camera, the embroidered fringe flowers, is what we are going to learn in the class today. So I'll just leave it another couple of seconds until we are on the dot. Please remember as well that you are very welcome to ask questions during the class. I will obviously try to answer as many as I can, but if I'm not able to do that, then I will certainly ask the Janome people, the Janome America people, to answer for me. I'm not actually seeing comments coming up on my screen, so could somebody just send me a comment so that I can see that I'm getting it? Oh, thank you, Anne. Hi, Anne. How are you? We're going to be talking about you because you made some of these lovely flowers for us. So, hi. I see that it is now 2 p.m. on the dot. So, I don't want to go over time today, because we have another class, or Janome America has another class at 3 p.m. Eastern, and that is Janome man, Michael from Canada, and he's going to be talking more about serges today on the Janome sewing machine live. So I don't want to go over time and have people that possibly are watching this class and want to also watch Michael and then have to decide what to do. So I'm going to try my very hardest to be done by 10 to 5 to 3 Eastern at the latest. Wow, we've got somebody from Florida and we have somebody from Denmark and Europe. So hi to everybody. We also have somebody, Gail, yes, from Gem Sewing. Hi. From Northern Ontario. And what I'm going to do now, while I'm talking, let me just see if I can see where this little button is. Why has it disappeared? I want to flip it. There it is. I struggled last time to find it. It's very tiny. Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Thompson. I'm the National Education Manager for Janome Sewing Machines in Canada. And we do have an awful lot of fun up here. It's not the frozen north. I'm actually in a little tank top today, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's actually quite hot. And when Celine did her Instagram live with us yesterday, she said that it was 36 degrees in Montreal. So we are getting some pretty hot, sticky weather here. All right, without any further ado, what I want to do is talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. This is a class. It's actually being broadcast from the sewing machine classroom of Janome America's Facebook page. My advice, and I wrote it in the supply list, so I'm hoping you were able to get the supply list. I hope you were able to see that yesterday Emily posted some notes for you. I wrote some notes for you on this class so that if you want to download them and print them and use them afterwards to do the project, you're very welcome. Obviously, you probably know already that you can watch this video over and over afterwards because they don't delete it when I'm finished talking. It gets stored on the Facebook. So you're more than welcome to watch it again. So my advice, actually, because I'm looking at the screen and I'm going to be showing you things on the embroidery machine in a moment, but I don't see you. So I can't see where you're at. you know, online is great, but it does have its limitations because I can't see where you're at and whether you're keeping up or not keeping up. So sure, follow along, but you may get behind. You may not know exactly what to do at one point in time. So my suggestion is let's watch the whole thing and then you can do the project afterwards. Lots of people coming in from Windsor, Ontario, North Carolina, Brampton. Hi, Nancy Fiedler. How are you? Hope you and your family are well. Hi, Jen Tryon. Lovely to see all of you tuning in. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do. I've mentioned that the supply list and the PDF of the notes, the instruction notes, are there on this Facebook classroom page for you to download. I am going to be working on the Janome 15000 today because that happens to be the embroidery machine that I have at home. But you certainly can do this embroidery project on any of our Janome embroidery machines. Those flowers that you saw a moment ago and you will see again, well, I mean, you can actually see them if I tiptoe. You can see them on the little tank top that I have made, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. They are fairly small flowers, so you don't need a gigantic hoop in order to do this project. You can use something as small, and I'm just going to get it so that you can see. If you have the free arm hoop, let's not get caught up with the wires here. Okay, this hoop here is our Janome FA10 hoop, or our free arm hoop. The built-in fringe flowers on some of our embroidery machines are actually stored in that FA hoop category, so they are fairly small. You may also, and this is the one we're going to use today, is I have got the SQ14 hoop hooped up with Tearaway stabilizer and fabric, black cotton fabric. That works really well. So that's the one we're actually going to use today. And if you don't have the Janome 15000, a hoop that is of a similar size for your machine will be just fine. Now, I did want to talk about this hoop because this hoop is really a fabulous hoop, and I am not going to apologize for the fact that it's a bit dirty. I use this hoop a great deal. I probably use this hoop almost as much as I use the SQ23 hoop. So that's why it's a bit dirty, because I'm one of these spray basting people. I use spray glue all the time. This hoop may not look familiar to you. You may not actually have it for your Janome 15000. What happened when we got the Janome 12000 and then later the Janome 15000? There was no B hoop, which had been with our previous machines, like the well, actually it was from the 11,000, from the 10,000 and the 9,000. Those machines and many of our other embroidery machines had the B hoop, which was approximately 5 by 7 inches. And people from the 11,000 owners, 12,000 owners, everybody said, please, we want a 5 by 7 hoop. So Janome made one available as an optional accessory, and the name of this hoop, if you are not familiar with it, is the RE18 Essential Hoop. And I honestly think it is essential. I really do use it a lot. And it has the magnetic strip, so you can use your magnets. And it is a little larger than 5 by 7. So it's a very, very versatile hoop. And if you wanted to do a bag with a little zipper pouch with flowers that you wanted to arrange in this orientation, you certainly could. And then, of course, if you have a bigger hoop like this one here, this one is the SQ23 hoop. If you wanted to use that one and fill it with loads and loads of flowers, like a pretty meadow full of flowers, absolutely go ahead. But today we are going to use this SQ14 hoop. All right, I have already shown you the flowers on my tank top. And what I did with this one, let me just get this earphone wire out of the way. I really would like to buy myself some what do you call wireless headphones, but they seem to be rather expensive, so I haven't got around to buying any yet. This flower in the middle here is the one what it came in. It came in, and I made that one in the middle, and I increased the size of it by 20, I think it was 20%. These two flowers here are the size that they were, the original size. And then these little ones here, if I can push that forward a little so you can see, I made those smaller. And I do believe that I put the exact measurements in the notes. I think I made them down, up a little bit and down a little bit, and I did that on the screen of the machine. Of course it can be done in embroidery software, but I did it in the machine, on the edit screen of the machine. Now I am going to show you a wall hanging, and I hope you're going to be able to see it nicely. This is actually an iron-on transfer. It's sort of plasticized, and I ironed it onto some white fabric and then put a border around the edge. And this was around about the same time that we got fringe flowers on our machines. And while we talk about that, let me mention which machines have the fringe flowers. The fringe flowers are available on the Janome, I do believe it's the Janome 12000, the Janome 15000, and for the most part you will find those in the free arm hoop category. They are also available on the MC9900 and the MC9850, which is a fairly new machine. In Canada we've only had that machine for about 6 months. So there may be some other machines that I've missed out. Possibly the 11000 had a fringe flower. I don't remember. But because not all our Janome machines have fringe flowers, I asked my friend Anne Hine, who is the software guru at Janome America, and she had a birthday recently, so happy birthday, Anne. I could not believe when you told us what age you were. I simply don't believe it. I still don't believe it. You look at least 10 years younger than that. Anyway, Anne, I asked her if she would digitize a fringe flower or two for us so that you could download those even if you didn't have any built-in fringe flowers in your machine. So this wall hanging was actually done quite some years ago. So these little fringe flowers at the top were the ones that were built into the machine. But this fringe flower in the middle, what I did was I made it quite a bit bigger in embroidery software, in our artistic digitizer software, and it was one of Anne's flowers that she had digitized, and you might be able to see it. I'm not sure if you can. Can you see that there's a shell pink thread and a more sort of coral color? This was the flower that had 4 colors. And digitized it with 4 colors, so that if you wanted to put 4 completely different threads in the machine to get a lovely marbled or variegated look, you certainly could. What I did on this flower is I did 2 pale pinks and 2 coral pinks, and then the center. What you can also do is you can use a variegated thread or a multicolor thread if you don't want to keep changing the thread colors. So Anne digitized 2 designs. One had the 4 colors, 3 so that you could change them, and there's no reason, I've done it many times, there's no reason why you can't repeat some of those colors if you want your flower to look a little more full, as though it's got lots and lots more petals. You certainly are welcome to do that. I've done it, and it looks really nice when it's done. So the original flower that Anne digitized was about 1 1/4 inches in diameter, and this flower here that I then enlarged in software ended up being about 3 inches, almost 3 inches in diameter. So now I do need to give you a sort of like a little bit of a disclaimer. That is that the stitch out is going to take quite a long time. Because if you look at it, let's bring this sample back again. If you look at it, you will see that the petal part, the fringe part, it stitches like that, backwards and forwards, forming the stitch. So it is basically a satin stitch. And when you have a satin stitch with a very long length, the machine automatically slows right down to almost a crawl, and it literally does stitch, one stitch, one stitch, one stitch, and it's kind of a bit tedious to watch it. So what I'm saying is, don't watch it, just walk away from the machine and let it carry on, because at the end of the day, even though it does take a very long time to stitch out, or much longer than it normally does, there's nothing wrong with that, and I really like the results that I get from a bigger flower. But I don't honestly think I'd go much bigger than about 3 inches in diameter if you take it into software and increase it, because it's going to be a little bit tedious, even more tedious. Okay, I have another sample to show you here, and this is a zipper baggie. It's one version of a zipper bag that you could make after this class, after you've done your fringe flowers. What I did here was I arranged, 7, if I can count today, 7 flowers in a V shape. Probably I should have had a monogram or something else up here, but I kind of ran out of time. And what I did was I have this fabric on the back, and I did the zipper method where you have a little tab either end of your zipper so that it forms very neatly. Now, I'm not going to teach you today how to make zipper bags. There's so much information online about how to make a zipper bag, and you may have already made dozens and dozens of them over the years. What I did do on your PDF notes that you can download is right at the end of the notes, I gave you several links where you can get information about how to make zipper bags. We did Instagram Lives in Canada last month, or I forget now when it was, about a month ago. The days are blurring with all this staying at home. Some days I have to look at my cell phone just to figure out what day of the week it is. In any event, I've given you the links, and we did some Instagram Lives, and those videos are now saved on our Janome Life YouTube channel. And you can go and get information about how to make a zipper bag with a tab on the end of the zippers. So that is one option. And for the flower, I actually did metallic thread underneath, gold metallic thread. Let me bring it a little bit closer. And then I did a bright yellow polyester embroidery thread over the top. That metallic thread was very near the end of the big cone of it that I had, and who knows how old it was, and it kept breaking, so it nearly drove me dilly. I should have been using madeira metallic thread, but I thought when I'd use up that, I won't do that again. I actually threw it away when I'd finished those flowers. Okay, you can certainly do this V formation on the edit screen of your machine, and obviously in this instance I stitched it out in the SQ23 hoop. I needed a bigger hoop than what we're going to use today. All right, so that's another sample to show you. Thread choice, I talked about this when we did the 4-in-1 embroidered napkins a couple of weeks ago. I prefer polyester embroidery thread, and I'm just going to get my little spools of thread here. Here is a Janome embroidery thread, and yes, I know it's back to front. That's because the camera is flipped so you can see me while I'm talking. It is the Janome polyester embroidery thread, and then this is the Madeira poly neon thread, and these are the colors that I was using in our project today. You may have a different brand of thread, and you may have a rayon embroidery thread. Feel free to use a rayon, but just remember that it is a little bit more delicate than a polyester thread, so I find I get much less thread breakage with a polyester thread, and the beauty of a polyester thread is that it is color fast. So it's stronger and color fast, and that are its big advantages. All right, so that's as regards thread choice. As regards bobbin thread, you've got options. we have got Janome pre-wound threads in black and white, and you can purchase those from your dealer. Those are 60 weight polyester embroidery thread, and they're just so labor saving because you don't have to wind your own bobbins, but you certainly can wind your own bobbin. I used a black will be using a black pre-wound bobbin in the machine today because I'm going to be embroidering on a black thread. So while we're talking about bobbin thread, let's talk about bobbin case. And I want to show you this bobbin case here. It is the yellow dot bobbin case. Do you see that? It is a higher tension than the regular bobbin case, which has got a red marking. It's really quite hard to see it, but it's there. There's a red marking over there. All right, that is the one that's got the regular tension, factory default tension. When you're doing embroidery in a hoop at your embroidery machine, you really do need to use the yellow dot embroidery bobbin case. And the reason for that is that it's a higher tension, and so it keeps the bobbin thread down at the back of your fabric where you want it. You really don't want your bobbin thread creeping up onto the top of your embroidery. And before we got yellow dot bobbin cases, and Janome thought of giving us that, and we've never had a problem since then. Before that, sometimes we had to lower the tension of our needle thread so that the bobbin thread would not creep up around the edges of our embroidery. So that yellow dot bobbin case is a really fabulous thing to have. If you want to wind your own bobbins, you might want to ask your dealer if they have our lovely rose pink or blue bobbins in the little presentation box. I think we still have inventory of that here in Canada. I'm not sure about the States, but that's a really nice thing to have, because what you can then do is wind different threads on different color bobbins, and that makes life a lot easier. When it comes to the threads, I think we mentioned that already, that you might want to use, and I don't actually have it, it's in the machine, a multicolor thread, in which case then you can just advance through the colors and use the same multicolor thread for all the petals. In other words, the big satin stitch part of the design. But you can also change your thread color like I showed you on this design here, where I had shell pink and coral. Okay, I have another sample to show you, and that's this one. And this one here is I used a multicolor thread, and I just used the same thread. So when the color stop came to an end, color number 1 came to an end, I simply advanced it to color number 2 and did not change the thread. And then I also want you to notice that there is a frame which is available on some of our machines. I did not ask Anne to digitize that for you. All I asked her to do was digitize 2 little flowers for you, and we're very thrilled that she did that for us. But you have had a fabulous opportunity for the whole of, well, almost since the end of April, to get a free trial of the Artistic Digitizer software. And I know that many people in Canada and the States and other parts of the world took up that offer and have been playing with their software. So I'm telling you that you could digitize that frame if it isn't on your machine. I do know that it's on the 15,000, and I do know that it is on the 9900. Not sure about the other machines, but if you look for Fringe designs on your machine, you'll find it if it's there. Otherwise, you sure can digitize it. So what I did here was I took the fringe flowers, and I took one of the fringe flowers and took it into the Artistic Digitizer software, and I used the circular array tool to line up, I think it's 8 of these flowers in a circle. And can you use the yellow dot bobbin case on the 11,000? Just notice that question. Absolutely, you can purchase one from your dealer and use it on the 11,000. So to continue here, I arranged them in a circular array, and then at the machine, I saved that, opened it at the machine, And then I brought in the frame, the oval frame, and positioned it in the center of the hoop. And then I went to the fonts built into the machine, and I used the hollow block font and put that T for Thompson right in the middle of the hoop. I have a question here. How much will the software be? I don't ever quote pricing. That is something that you will need to ask your local Janome dealer for. I know that those people who got the free trial got a coupon mailed to them to get a discount on that software. But that is something you have to arrange through your local dealer. And the name of the software is Artistic Digitizer. Anne has also posted a comment there that she did a video tutorial. Thank you, Anne. I was going to ask you to do it. I didn't realize you'd done it already. So thank you very much. She's done a tutorial, and that's on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page. So if you want to make a fringe flower, you can actually digitize it yourself. Are the bobbin interchangeable on the 14,000? Yes, not the M7, because the M7 has a slightly different bobbin system. And in any event, you don't need an embroidery bobbin case on the M7 because it is a sewing machine, not an embroidery machine. Okay. Right. So let's move now to, I'm going to flip the camera. And I am going to show you this bag. That's another sample that I made quite some time ago. And that is just a whole lot of different little fringe flowers that I stitched on vinyl and then made it into a quite big tote bag. One little word of warning that I will give, I didn't even give it a thought when I made this. If I bring it closer here, you might be able to see. Let's just see which flower I'm holding. Yeah, there we are. Do you see that when I embroidered this on the vinyl, when you stitch a needle onto vinyl, it makes holes that don't go away. So the vinyl has got sort of little needle marks just under and behind each flower. So if you don't want that, then I would make the tote bag with something else other than a vinyl. Right, so we are going to, I'm going to turn the camera. So let's just see, why is it, nope, that's not going to work. It's kind of set at that. Okay, not to worry, we will use the camera this way. This is the project that we are going to do today. This is another little zipper pouch with a different type of zipper application. At the end of your PDF notes, there is a link to where you will see a video that I actually did on Instagram Live of how, no, it wasn't me that did it. It was Amanda that did it. And this zipper is merely laid on top of the fabric and then stitched down with a decorative stitch. So information about how to do this zipper pouch is available in the notes, and actually you can make up the zipper pouch any way you want. But what we're going to do in the class today is find out how to position those flowers, how to embroider them, and so on. I do see a question here, where do you get the free trial? Unfortunately, that free trial is now over. The closing date for applying to get the code for the free trial was the 15th of May. And then this Sunday, so I do need to remind you all, this Sunday, the 31st of May, is when your free trial period expires. And that's why you've been sent a coupon so that you can purchase the software if you've really had a lot of fun with it and you would like to carry on making things with the software. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to the screen of the machine, and I'm just going to move the little bag out of the way, and I am going to move my camera a little bit closer so that you can see the screen better. All right. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do, obviously, is hoop up your fabric. So you'll remember that I said that I used a black fabric, and I used a Tearaway stabilizer, and there it is. There is my hoop. I don't think my arms are long enough, but I will put it on the machine. I have a black pre-wound bobbin, which I mentioned already. I have that in the machine, and I'm going to attach the hoop to the machine. And the Tearaway stabilizer is quite fine. You don't need to be using any water soluble or other stabilizer. A medium weight Tearaway is perfect. I decided this time to hoop the stabilizer and the fabric, and I'm going to baste. And I'll explain why. I found on one of my projects the fabric slipped a little when I didn't have it hooped as well as basted. So that is why I'm doing both here. I think I put in the notes or the supply list that your fabric would, to cut your fabric about 9 by 7 inches. And that's fine. You can put it in the hoop and you can baste it. But if you want to make a slightly bigger bag or whatever, you can cut it bigger. Here on the machine, my black fabric is about 10 by 12 inches. And I did also leave off the supply list that you need a zipper. I'm sorry about that. I completely didn't give it a thought. All I was thinking about was fringe flowers when I wrote that supply list. And obviously you need fabric for the back of the bag and fabric to line your bag if that's what you want to do. Okay, so we're going to use the yellow dot bobbin case as we spoke about earlier. That's already in the machine with a black pre-wound bobbin. All right, that is in the machine. And I have on the top of the machine, you can't see it now, so I'm not going to try and move the camera and make you seasick, but it is a Madeira multicolor thread in sort of lovely turquoisey colors. It's actually the colors that you see here. Very pretty. Okay, I'm going to now open the edit screen on the machine so you can see this. That's the one that's got the little sheet of graph paper. And notice that it's saying SQ23 hoop, but we're not working in the SQ23 hoop. We're working in the SQ14 hoop. So I need to go over here to the hoop icon and tell the machine that I'm actually using a smaller hoop. If I didn't do that, I might be tempted to have a design that was larger than what the SQ14 hoop can do, and then my design might start stitching into the side of my hoop, and then that can be a bit of a drama. All right, what's in the machine as well is a red tip needle. That is a size 14 sharp needle, and I use it almost exclusively for my embroidery. Sometimes I do, let's just put it in the camera here. Sometimes I do bring out my big guns and I use a purple tip needle. If I find that I am busy dealing with an embroidery design that's maybe on a thick fabric, or I'm doing it through several layers of fabric, or it's very densely digitized, and I need a kind of my big guns needle. There's a question here. Can this be done with Digitizer Junior? Anne, I'll let you answer that. I haven't used Digitizer Junior for a very long time, so I'm not sure if you can make a fringe flower with Digitizer Junior. You can certainly resize, you can certainly arrange them in the hoop. What weight of stabilizer? That is, I'd said about a medium weight Tearaway is fine. Sally from London. Hi, is that London, England or London, Ontario? And then also somebody from New Brunswick. Hello to all of you. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I finish in time, so I can't say hello to everybody. So please don't feel slighted if I didn't greet you and say hi, welcome from wherever you are. All right, so on the edit screen, we have now got the SQ14 hoop there, and what we now need to do is we need to go down to this little house, and I just want to check you can see it. Yes, you can. We're going to touch the little house at the bottom, and we're going to go to the little bloom, the little flower, sunflower, which is where we go to get our built-in designs. Just as a matter of ease, I am using the built-in designs on the 15,000. I do have Anne's designs on a USB stick, so I could use them just as easily, but in the interests of speed, I'm just going to use these ones here. Now remember, I said to you that they are in the FA hoop section of the machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll through, and there they are on the 15,000 in the free arm hoop section. It is design number 66 and 67. Actually, 63, 64, and 65 are also free fringe designs if you want to use them. And the frame design that we showed on the lime green fabric. Oh, and I have another sample to show you. Here is a mirror, the back of the mirror, all right, that has got a fringe around the edge, and then my L for Liz embroidered in the middle. And so that is just a little mirror that I do from time to time use. It stands in my bathroom. So that frame design, it won't fit into the free arm hoop, so it's actually in a different hoop section on the machine. So what we're going to do first and foremost is we are going to choose this design here, which is our multicolor design. In other words, it's got 4 colors. It stitches 3 colors on the petal, and then it does the center, so it's got 4 colors. I'm leaving you, Anne, to answer those questions. You're doing a brilliant job, so thank you. I'll just carry on with the actual class. Otherwise, I will probably get myself waylaid. The first flower that I've brought in is the 4-color one, as I've just said. And what we're now going to do is we're going to go to this little icon here, which is like 2 squares with arrows between them. And that is the resize icon. Now I am resizing at the machine, and I'm going to take this flower up to 120%, and that is as large as I can make it on the machine. I can make it bigger in software, and remember what I said, I made this flower here almost 3 inches in diameter, so that was a lot more than 120% larger. But here we're just doing it up to, we made it 20% larger. And then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to bring the next flower in. So this time we're going to do the 1-color flower. So I'm going to go, oh, sorry, I do need to say okay to close the resize window. And now I'm going to go back to the house and back to the designs, and I'm this time going to take design number 66, which is the 1-color design. Now remember that it always comes into the middle of the hoop. So I don't go with my stylus on top of it, because then I might grab the original flower that I was using and I'll get myself all mixed up. So I like to use these little jog keys to move the design a little bit away from there. And then what we're going to do with that one is we're going to go back to the resize, and I want to check my time. Yeah, I need to scoot along now because I want to finish so that you can go over to Michael's class. So I've made that a little smaller, and I've made it 80%. And I'm saying okay, and now I'm going to go to this icon here, which is the copy icon, and I've copied it. It looks like nothing happened, but actually it did. All right, and I'm now going to position that flower on the other side, and I'm going to try and line them up so that they're on this line over here on both sides and they're even. All right, so there I have now positioned my 3 fringe flowers on my SQ14 hoop. Yes, I'm seeing quite a few questions here about, can this be done on the 500E? Absolutely it can. You may not, you don't actually have these fringe flowers built into your machine as a built-in design, but the designs that Anne has digitized for us are available for download on the Janome Sewing Machine classroom page. If you download them, put them on a USB stick, take them to your 500E, 100% you can do them on your machine. Okay, so now we are ready to go to the ready to sew screen. So I'm going to come back here and say okay, and now I am, it's confirming with me that I've got the SQ14 hoop, and there I have it. I am now ready to sew. I have got my machine threaded up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it going, and you know what, I'm actually going to stop that because I forgot to show you the basting. So I'm just going to cut that thread, and let me go back to the screen here so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go to this icon here, which is the trace and baste icon, and I'm going to touch that icon there, and then I'm going to go back to the hoop so that you can see what's happening at the hoop, and I'm going to try to move this a little closer so that you can see really well what's happening. Hopefully that's going to work for you. All right, now I showed this little trick a couple of weeks ago when we did the napkins, and people were really blown away by it, so I'm going to show it again. Often when you do basting, it doesn't pick up the bobbin thread because it is a stitch that is very long and has a very loose tension, and it's quite hard for it to pick up that bobbin thread that's, remember, sitting in the yellow dot bobbin case, which is pretty tight. So we're going to give it a helping hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to press, and I'm hoping you can, yes, you can see the button. I'm going to press that stop start button twice, not once, but twice, so that when it gets up to here, it's going to stop, and I'm going to press needle up down twice and bring up my black bobbin thread. You may not be able to see it very well because it's black against the black fabric, but it's there. And I'm now going to press stop start again, and it is now stitching my basting thread, and I'm just going to cut those little tails off, and it is now stitching all the way around the basting. Sometimes I find as well that it is better with a purple tip needle. It picks up the thread a little easier. Okay, so now once again I'm going to switch off the basting function, and I'm going to set the machine going again. I'm also, while that started stitching, I'm going to show you some things on the machine, on the screen of the embroidery machine. Let's move this a little bit like that. I'm sorry, it's at a bit of an angle now because I'm moving. There you are, that's better. I want you to touch that icon. I really like having that because, as you can see on the screen, it's showing you the progress of your embroidery. It's really very, very handy to have that feature, because then you know where you're at. The other thing I want to do is I want to touch this little icon at the top here with the flowers. If you touch that icon, it grays out everything except the color that is being stitched now, and that is also very helpful because it helps you to keep track of where you're at in the embroidery design. When you say what are the numbers on the 15,000, are you asking about the numbers of the designs? If you are, they were 63, 64, or 64, 65, 66, 67 in the free arm hoop section of the design. Hi, Katie. Glad to see you there. Now, because I'm using a multicolor thread, I have simply set the color number 2 going again. So it is now on color number 2, because I don't really need to change the color because the thread is multicolor, and it's going to give me that very pretty effect that I get with that center flower. It almost looks like I've used a bunch of different colors in that flower. All right, so we've done the basting, we're doing the stitching now. AccuMonitor is also very nice. Diane said yes, absolutely. AccuMonitor is one of our Janome apps, which which connects to the machine wirelessly. So it works on the S9, the Skyline S9, and the Janome 15000. And I see we are now at color number 3, so I'm going to press the button and let color number 3 stitch. And that monitor then lets you see the progress of your embroidery design on your iPad. So if you're tall like me and you're watching TV, and hubby gets a little aggro when I'm jumping up and down to see to the embroidery machine in my sewing room, so I keep the iPad there, and then I tell him I need to go to the washroom or I need to make tea, and then I scoot in and change a thread color while that's on the go. That's just my little subterfuge there. But in any event, so here we are. This is color number 1, and the third color is almost finished now. And the next color that is going to stitch is going to be the center of the design. So I am going to set it going, and it's going to stitch the center of that design. I could have put a different color thread for the center, but in the interests of time and speed, I'm just letting that same multicolor thread stitch in the middle. After this is done, obviously it's going to then come up with the 2 colors on the side that we positioned on either side of the design, as you can see here. Those were the designs we made smaller to 80%, and those ones were the 2 color designs. So here I used 1 color of thread, actually this thread here. All right, I used that madeira thread there for that flower, and then I used a darker madeira thread here for the center of that flower. Okay. So I'm not going to finish the embroidery on the design because we are already at almost a quarter to at 11:45, and I do want to be finished well before 12 so that you can scoot over to the Janome Sewing Machines page if you want to watch Michael talk about serges and thicker serger threads and so on. Basically, once you have done your embroidery, and I'm going to take this hoop off the machine now. I'm not going to complete the 2 designs on there because I want to show you the next step, and that is that I'm going to unhoop the embroidery. So there we have, I've done that, and I am going to come over here and show you. Let's just see that you can make sure you can see it. All right, so there is my flower that has been stitched. My basting is still there. So at this point of the game, what I'm going to do off camera, because it's really hard to show it there, is that I'm going to remove the stabilizer and the basting from my fabric, which is what I've done. That is the front of the embroidery, and this is the back of the embroidery. So what we're now going to do is we are going to cut the bobbin threads there where you see the black thread. And I'm going to try and do it so that you can see here. And I'm putting my curved scissors. I find curved scissors very helpful. They're nice and sharp. And I am going around. Let me just make sure that you can still see on the camera. Do you see that underneath there is my white stabilizer, my Tearaway stabilizer? So I'm making sure that I'm not digging my scissors beyond that stabilizer. And I'm just turning the fabric. Let's just check you can still see. And it's hard to watch the screen and cut bobbin threads at the same time. But we'll try our best. So do you see now I have cut those black bobbin threads on the back? And now you can also see that the stabilizer is lifting and it forms like a little ring of stabilizer. So I'm going to take that little ring of stabilizer out because I no longer need it. And then I'm going to flip back to the front, and my flower has not bloomed yet. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put my scissors underneath those stitches, and I'm gently going to lift them out like that. And I'll go all the way around. And now do you see there is my very pretty fringe flower with my fringe petals that have now bloomed. Okay, So that is what I did there. Obviously, I repeated it with the other two little flowers. I did the same thing, cut the bobbin threads on the back. I did also add some lettering to that bag, and I just used, I think it was the Times font on the machine. I can't remember the name of the font now. And I just typed in Liz's Cosmetics. You could put whatever you want on your little bag, or don't have any letters on your bag. So here's a little word of advice about adding letters. So let's go back to the screen. I'm going to put this flower back on again, and I'm going to go back to the edit screen. And there are my flowers. So leave those flowers on the screen, and now go to the little house at the bottom here and add your fonts that you might want. Don't delete the flowers before you've added your font, because remember, your flowers are already stitched and you don't want your font to be stitching on top of them. There is, hi Mike from New Liskeard. Yes, you're going to stitch right through without stopping. If you wanted it thicker, would you do it twice? Absolutely. I've done that many times. Sometimes I've even done it 3 times to make my flower really full, almost like a very full dahlia with all those hundreds of petals. So it's a really, really fun project. And of course, you saw on the frame over here, and that is my cell phone telling me I am almost out of time. So let me switch the alarm off. You remember that frame I showed you earlier? That one is also built in, but if you have the software, you can make your own frame, and you could try straight lines of fringing. There's so many different things that you can do with this software. So I'm just going to come back here now and flip the camera and just check that I have answered everything that I need to. If I didn't answer you, please just still send your questions in, because the Janome America folk will answer. Linda says she got there late. Hope I can watch it later. Absolutely. The video is posted on the Janome Classroom page, and you can watch it as many times as you want after this. And there are also, there is a supply list and a PDF set of notes that you can download and print to follow along. And those notes are all here, with pictures of all the things that I've shown. It's actually 5 pages of notes that you can download in color, so that you can do this project. And I really hope you enjoyed that. Before I leave you and let you hop on over to the other Janome Sewing Machine page for another Facebook Live, I did want to mention to you that I notice, I don't watch the news as religiously as my husband does, but because it's just quite frankly depressing, but I have noticed that there are quite a few people and provinces and states that are starting to lift restrictions a little. So please call up your local Janome dealer if there's anything you need. Maybe you need thread or purple tip needles or stabilizer, or maybe you need an embroidery machine. All right, so give your dealer a call and check what their sort of setup is. Are they doing curbside pickups? Are they actually open and letting people in? I know here in BC, we never actually closed stores completely, not all our stores. Our dealers were able to let people come in, but they limited it to 1 or 2 people in the store at a time, and that's slowly opening up. So give your dealers a call. They've been working really, really hard during this pandemic, and I know they would very much value your support, and they'll have information for you about pricing on the Artistic Digitizer software and the red tip needles and the pre-wound bobbins and anything else you might need to make this project. Okay, hi Bob, I remember you from the Janome Canada seminar. Thank you for joining in, and Kim as well. Are there any more questions before I finish off the class? Doesn't seem so. Okay, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do hope that you enjoyed this embroidery project, and that you learned quite a lot about what you can do on the edit screen of your machine and how to embroider fringe flowers. Have fun. And yes, Kimberly Einmo is actually, you know what? It wasn't Michael today. I'm getting confused. You know what? There's so many Instagram lives. I do apologize. It's Kimberly that's going to be teaching right after me on the regular Facebook page. Michael is tomorrow. So sorry about that confusion. That was entirely my fault. So hop on over to watch Kimberly. You don't want to miss that. I sure am. I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea, and then I'm going to watch Kimberly. So thank you all very much, and see you next time. Bye.